Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the latest edition of Terrace Talk. Of course, it's been the 2-week break. We're all sort of eager to get back into Championship action, and it is the really, really long trip to Swansea on Saturday that faces us. Actually, quite looking forward to this one. Always a good game, I suppose, when these two sides meet. And yeah, I think it's a good opportunity for Norwich to build momentum after that good win against Coventry before the break. Of course, as I mentioned, Swansea are the are the hosts. Norwich are the visitors. With that, delighted to be joined by a good friend of mine and Swansea City fan, Chris Durcan. Chris, first and foremost, thanks for joining me, of course, on this Thursday evening. Looking forward to this game on Saturday. I mean, 4 points from the first 4 games for Swansea. A good win at home against Preston, a draw in the South Wales derby against Cardiff. Couple of defeats on the road at Middlesbrough and West Brom, but both pretty narrow 1-0 defeats. What have you sort of made of the start of the campaign?
Yeah, I think 4 points never seems a lot, like from 12, from the possible 12. But I don't think it's been as drastic as that. Like I think, as you say, there's 2 narrow results. West Brom game, recent one, as in first half performance, they were quite dominant, but second half was like much better. And so I think there's spells of like signs that we could be like having a potentially improved season. But the only thing is that the reminder is that we seem to always win these games against the lower league teams. So Preston, I think maybe if they only won, they're on 3 points and lost all their others. And that's what we did last season. And we just kept on getting good results or getting points against lower league teams. And it's trying to see if we can do it against the top teams. It hasn't worked out so far. I think West Brom have started off really well, maybe in second or something like that. And Middlesbrough are up there as well and have been up there for the last few seasons. And so I think that's just going to be the big thing going into this season. Can we get those results against the top sides in the top half of the table? We never seemed to do that last season. So I think that'll be a big challenge. South Wales derby was disappointing not to walk away with the 3 points. First half was just, we were just cruising, absolutely cruising, plain sailing. And that's the problem. 1-0 is not good enough. You got to get that second goal. And we didn't, and somehow let the scum back into it. So that's disappointing not to work away 3 points, because I think with that, what would that been? 7 points out of 12. I think I'd be very happy with that, and that would look a very good start to the season. That would be just off the playoffs and the playoffs as well.
Yeah, you spoke about maybe the struggles to beat sides above you. Last season when we spoke to at the sort of back end of the campaign, you were maybe referencing you were a bit in transition. Luke Williams had just arrived and sort of trying to bring in a different playing style, maybe completely different to what Michael Duff had sort of brought to the club previously. 15th place finish, I think it was 10th the year before that, 14th maybe the year before that, or in and around those sort of mid-table areas. Where's the expectation? Where's the bar for this campaign? Do you think you maybe can kick on and try and push for top 6?
I think it's hard. I think Championship's always such a weird one to call those top 6. We definitely won't be like up the top 5, if that makes sense. Who knows if we have a sensational season, might scrape a 6th position. But I think it's aiming for a top half is probably more the most realistic one. I don't want to get my hopes up. I usually just say, this is the year we're going to get the playoffs, and we never do. And so I think it's just building under Luke Williams as the first full season in charge. And so that's what excites me going into this season. I think this season is just so hard to really set expectations. I think there's a few like these teams in the Championship that I think is going to be maybe one of the stronger Championship seasons, in my opinion. I think maybe last season or the year... I think last season maybe it was slightly more weaker, and then maybe there would be a bit more chance to get into those playoffs. But I think some of the teams around us and in those top positions seem like they're much more improved, and I think it's going to be a really challenging season in terms of ability. And you've got good sides coming back into the Championship as well, that been there, done that, know how to get promoted, and so maybe something about like 9th. Or 8th could be a realistic target.
Yeah, of course. The transfer window shut fairly recently. Swansea doing a fair amount of business, I'd say. A few departures, the likes of Nathan Wood, who I think was sort of attracting. He's obviously moved to the Premier League, a Southampton move, which feels like a good move for him in his career. But you've also brought in a lot of kind of different players, I'd say, for abroad that nobody's really heard of. The likes of Franco, Vipopnik, the striker. There's a few others in and around there. A lad from the Asian market as well, Jizung Iom. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, something like that. The new Ki Sung-young, as I say. Apparently, Ki Sung-young phoned him up to come to Swansea, and so he knows the South Korean link there. But yeah, he's been playing in the South Korean league. Hard to really judge, but he's been starting the last few games, and so Williams has clearly got. He sees something good in him. He's not really shined too much, maybe not like being incredible, but I really like the look of Franco. I think he looks good. His energy has been really good in midfield. He's one of those players that never stops running. He's got that energy and just got that. It gets into tackles, gets stuck in, and you love that in a South Wales derby. Like he just knew straight away this is what it is. But he's just got that passion, and so really like the look of Franco and kind of always there showing for the ball, but probably a bit more attacking. Than Grimes. So in some ways they're similar in terms of like the tenacity. They're like showing for the ball, but I'd say he adds a bit more attacking threat up there. And so I think Franco's probably out of all the signings one that I'm looking forward to most to see him get stuck in.
Yeah, it all sounds relatively positive. Of course, Luke Williams, as I mentioned, right at the top, sort of been in charge now for just over 6 months. This is his first full season. What do the Swansea fans make of him? I mean, I know when he first joined, there was sort of a difficult spell and maybe the results weren't there, but gradually towards the end of the campaign, the results started to come. Possession-wise, I mean, Swansea currently top the Championship with 59.1% possession. I mean, it feels like he's maybe trying to revert Swansea back to what I call the Swansea way.
Yeah, very much. It seems like a long time since we've really seen that Swansea way stick. Like, I think quite a lot of the managers we've had in the Championship, would always come in and maybe sign to do the Swansea way. I think Potter did that really well, and a few others have started off with it. Obviously Russell Martin as well, but it's been hard to really fully put in process. And so Williams definitely wants to go back to that and wants to see us do that. And if we bring back the glory days of 2010 to 2011, well, obviously that's promotion year for you guys as well, wasn't it? But if we bring back that, then happy days. I think the Swans away, it is good to see. Sometimes it does feel though like maybe the Cardiff game, like we're bossing possession so much in that first half after 1-0 up, and it's thinking maybe if we can go on a bit more and to get the second goal, that's probably more helpful. But you could argue if we kept possession better, then we don't concede that goal. But the Swansea way is exciting, and I guess that's why we've got Vigouroux in goal now. He's meant to be there to get the Swansea way and to be passing from the back. And it's good to have a keeper that does that to actually help that out. But he looks like he's made a few mistakes. Is there any downside of trying to do the Swansea way? It could lead to then keepers misplacing a pass, and then you really put yourself in a bad position.
Yeah, I think Norwich are maybe seeing that a little bit at the start of the campaign, sort of those small little errors where something, is trying to be ingrained in the players, a different style, a different group of players, and maybe those mistakes need to be cut out further on, but certainly growing something positive. Looking at the home form, I mean, you look to be relatively strong there. If you look at kind of the last 8 games across the 2 Championship seasons, 5 wins, 1 draw, 2 defeats. I mean, what's the atmosphere been like? I think it's the Swansea.com stadium now, and sort of are the fans maybe buying into what they're seeing on the pitch there and that, at home?
Yeah, definitely. I haven't been able to get to a home game this season, but definitely. I think it's a shame over since the Championship, it's not like it's not maybe the same as maybe going into when we were coming up from the Championship into the Premier League. It's now kind of attendance is slightly dipped, but it's still great atmosphere. Still fans are getting behind Williams and trying to support him. And just I guess they like seeing the Swansea way in style, and so it'd be great for us to keep getting behind the team and to cheer them on to victory on the weekend and beyond.
Yeah, you maybe mentioned sort of some of the key players in terms of new signings, but who's maybe the one to look out for more generally? Is Franco the star man more generally? But you've got the likes of Matty Grimes, who I know is been a stalwart at Swansea, been in and around it for a while. Who should Norwich fans be aware of?
I guess keep looking out for Franco, new signing. I think Ronaldo signed in January. Maybe we didn't really talk too much about him going into last season fixture. He was maybe still just coming into it a bit more, and he won a penalty, didn't he? He did, didn't he? I think because it was 2-2. Grimes scored that penalty when we were at Norwich late on the season, and he started off the season well. Like Preston played phenomenally well, but he's kind of like one of those players that maybe like one of those typical kind of wingers that sometimes there's games where he's not really present or like you don't see him as much, but when he's on form, he's really good. He sometimes gives me those glimpses of like Jefferson Montero, just the good old days of like him bursting down the wing. And so I think Ronaldo, look out for him on the weekend. Hopefully wins us another penalty. This time it won't be as debatable as last time, but that's still definitely a penalty.
Yeah, still have flashbacks of that even now. Before we sort of move the attention forward to the game on Saturday, I'm just intrigued to get your thoughts on Norwich and maybe how you think they might fare this season in the Championship. Of course, last time out, it was maybe the last home game of the season or one of Norwich obviously pushing for the playoffs at that point. Of course, secured it, disappointing fashion the way they exited that. But this season, maybe fresh hope under new management. Slow start, but they obviously got the big win. Or 1-0 win at Coventry, but it feels big in sort of the grand scheme of things for Norwich moving forwards. Where do you sort of pitch the bar for Norwich in what's going to be another competitive Championship season?
Yeah, because you lost your first one against Oxford and been unbeaten since then. But I wonder about Norwich. I think it's an interesting one because like the yo-yo's not yo-yoing back up at the moment, and I think now you've had those few years. I think third season back in the Championship since the Premier League now, start of the third season. And so I think that's now the danger. You might fall into those like Stoke, Swansea, West Broms, those established teams that are in the Premier League for like a consistent while and then get relegated. And so there's a danger that you might fall in that trap, and it seems then very hard to get up because you've lost that momentum of like getting straight back up. And you might just fall into the trap of just being like a normal Championship team that is trying to compete with everyone else. And so, I do wonder about Norwich. I think, as I said, I think this Championship season will be one of the strongest it has been for the last few years. I don't know. This is my early reading of it and early thinking of it. We'll see how it plays out. But I think Norwich could be, I think you might struggle to get the playoffs, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's going to be intriguing. Moving the game forward, moving forward to the game here on Saturday. Big opportunity for both sides to get the first win after the international break and maybe try and build that momentum. But there's things now a patch of 5 games before the next break, so it feels like a really sort of big spell maybe in the early starts of the campaign. How do you see the game going? Is it going to be one that Swansea at home are going to continue that good, positive home form, or Norwich going to come and spoil the pie?
You know what? I think so. I think I'm probably feeling the most confident I have felt for a while. Maybe doing one of these going into a Norwich Swansea game. We've actually probably been the better of the two sides the last 2 years. And so I think, coming into our head-to-head matches, I think we could do it at home. It'll be interesting just seeing some people just come back from international break and just seeing how that all fits together. But I think we're brewing to get a result. I think better second half against West Brom. Very disappointing not to get 3 points against Cardiff. We should have done that. And so I think we're there to get a result. Do you want a score prediction?
Yeah, I'd love a score prediction from you, Chris.
Let's go 2-1. 2-1 Swansea City.
Yeah, I see a tight game. Two sides that want to try and play football the right way. Of course, hoping to get another 3 points. I mean, just finally before we round off, I think as you mentioned there, Swansea have had sort of the upper hand a little bit over recent times. I think it's the last 3 games Norwich have failed to win against the Swans. I think Norwich have 1 win in the last 5 games against Swansea. Is there any memorable games that stick out for you in this fixture? Is there sort of a goal fest or a memorable game?
Oh, memorable games. I'm just getting flashbacks of. I get a flashback from, I don't know, for some reason that 4-1 defeat from many years ago, a few years ago. But no, I think 3-0 last season at home, wasn't it? I think something like that was a very convincing result. And because being good mates with you, it's always a good rivalry and trying to keep up with it. And I think that's the first time we've walked away with it. I think like the big memories was that season where we were both competing. Probably 4 seasons ago, under Steve Cooper, and we were up there. You were up there. I think it was 1-1, and it just felt going into it as such an important game. And we both needed to win. We both didn't. Oh, did you? You maybe went up that year. We didn't get promoted. We were in the playoffs. But yeah, so you pipped us to it. I think that was a big game. But I think that the last season and the season, I know 3-0 was not last. 3-0 was away to you guys the season before last. That was awesome in away ends. That was good times.
Yeah, hopefully we don't get a repeat of that on Saturday from a Norwich City perspective. Feeling relatively positive going to this trip to Swansea. Hopefully Norwich can build on from that. Chris, of course, thanks for joining me on this show. All the good content across the Pink and channels are coming up into this game. Of course, Johannes Hoff-Torp's press conference from earlier, we were there. It's now live on the YouTube channel. Good positive news. Josh Sargent will be available after the sort of niggle for the USA after their game, and he's going to be available for this game. Kenny McLean also going to be available, which is, of course, a huge boost. Sam's Tactics board will be up tomorrow morning, and then we'll be making the journey to Newport. I think we're staying tomorrow night, so I'm looking forward to that before the game on Saturday. So keep it locked to the Pink and channels. Of course, we've got the app as well, which you can take out a subscription to. All the links for that down below. With that, I'm going to see you in South Wales on Saturday afternoon.